Education is one of those areas of modern life that's constantly evolving with new trends. Hello, I am Aygul Mukey and you are watching Zaman Trend on Silkway. It's clear that education can't afford to fall behind. It needs to stay ahead of the curve, not just by a step or two, but by leaps and bounds. In today's episode, we are diving into the latest trends in education, and there are plenty to talk about. Digitalization, STEM fields, and personalized learning are on the rise. Schools are incorporating online platforms and adaptive programs, and there is growing emphasis on creativity and environmental studies. At the same time, Kazakhstan's trilingual education system is becoming even stronger, boosting the competitiveness of Kazakhstani graduates. Our first guest is Arnara Himbergenova, a student who truly represents Generation Z with her approach to learning. My goal is to take everything I've learned, my knowledge, skills, and experience, and use it to make a real difference. I want to help my community, contribute to Kazakhstan, and play my part in solving some of the challenges our society faces. That's why I'm so focused on my education and future career. You are the student body president, right? Yes, I am. Have you always been a top student? Honestly, yes. I've always done well in school. Since first grade? Yes. Arnara Himbergenova is a student at NIS, one of the top schools in the capital, and the student body president. A talented pianist and a multi-time Olympiad winner, she is a source of inspiration for her peers with her drive and ambition. Balancing leadership, academics, and creativity, Arna is determined to push the boundaries of science in Kazakhstan. How did you discover your love for math? My mom noticed early on that I had a natural talent for it, so she started enrolling me in different programs and learning centers to help me develop my skills. Eventually, I transferred to a specialized math school, and everything just kind of fell into place from there. I got into Olympiad competitions, and that's when I really fell in love with math. How often did you compete? Oh, a lot. My previous school had an Olympic reserve program which gave me the opportunity to train intensively. We had daily workshops and practice sessions. I competed in Olympiads from 2nd grade all the way through 9th. After that, I started focusing more on organizing competitions myself. At my school, I launched math tournaments and Olympiads because by that point, I felt like I had already gained enough experience. Now, what excites me the most is sharing my love for math with younger students, 7th and 8th graders, for example. Academic Olympiads in Kazakhstan actually date back to the Soviet era, starting in the 1950s. Back then, the focus was on math, physics, chemistry, and literature, subjects considered crucial for scientific and technological progress. After Kazakhstan gained independence in 1991, the tradition continued, evolving to fit the modern world. Since the early 2000s, the country has ramped up its participation in international competitions, bringing home medals from major events like the International Mathematical Olympiad and the International Physics Olympiad. These days, Olympiads are all about open-ended problem solving. And if we are talking about math, the questions can be incredibly diverse, the solutions even more so. When you are working on a tough problem, your mind goes into overdrive. It's like a rush of inspiration. And when you finally crack it, it doesn't even feel like you just solved a math problem. It feels like you created something, like you just painted a picture. Really? Absolutely. I have friends who compete in physics, biology, and chemistry. And even in biology, where people assume it's all just memorization, you still have to identify patterns and make connections. That's why these competitions are so valuable. They don't just develop academic skills, they push your creative thinking on every level, intellectually, emotionally, and even artistically. Learning through social media is nothing new. It's been a trend for quite a while now. But the way knowledge is shared on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube keeps evolving, taking on new and creative forms. Most of the time it's gamified, but sometimes learning happens through music too. Our next guest, Rawan Janabai, is a physics teacher, but I'd call him a physics poet because he sings about minerals, isotopes, and all things science. We stopped by to meet him. Rawan, hi. Hello, Aygul. How are you? Rawan Janabai is a physics teacher who turns his lessons into a full-blown performance. He breaks down complex scientific concepts through music, making learning not just easier but a lot more fun. His creative approach helps students absorb the material better, and his lessons have become a favorite among his students. By thinking outside the box, he's inspiring a new generation and proving that physics doesn't have to be boring.
Газандарын осылай жаттайықта қысым көлем температурадағы иза процесстерді есте сақтайықта иза барады қысым тұрақты иза хорады көлем тұрақты үшінші процесс изотермады температура тұрақты.
Molecular physics lets learn the gases, how pressure, volume, and heat all change in phases. Isobars hold pressure steady, isocores hold volume steady, isotherms hold heat steady. My thing is teaching physics through Kazakh songs. I told myself I'll try making a couple of videos, got over my hesitation and just went for it. The thing is, just explaining the material isn't always enough. Students don't always grab it right away, so I add layers to make it more engaging. We film in a professional studio, use high-quality cameras and add text overlays. For example, when explaining isobaric processes, I'll put on screen. In isobars, pressure is constant, P const. With professional music, good visuals and proper editing, it becomes much easier to grasp. So, do students actually understand the material better this way? Definitely. They say it makes learning much more interesting. I even get messages from students in other subjects asking, can you do the same for geography or history? But I focus only on physics and only in Kazakh. I never used to write songs, just sang. Music runs in my family. My dad was a music teacher and I have uncles who are poets. Maybe it's in my blood. But I don't consider myself a songwriter, I just adapt existing songs. For example, I took the song Сүю оңай ма, Is Love Easy, and turned into Физика оңай ма, Is Physics Easy?
Рауан ағай физика сабағын полностью әнмен түсіндіреді дейді. Ол өте қате тұжырым.
Some people think I teach entire lessons through songs. That's not really the case. In class, I use a traditional approach with presentations and videos. The songs come in at the end as a fun way to reinforce what we've learned. The TikTok and Instagram videos, they are more about grabbing students' interest. Right now, IT is booming. I think in the near future, we'll see more websites and apps designed for learning physics. I actually studied physics and informatics at STU, and at one point I almost switched to IT. Someday I'd love to develop an app or website where students can explore formulas and theories in a fun, interactive way. I think we'll see a rise in Kazakh language educational platforms like that. Digital technology is everywhere these days, whether it's online education, artificial intelligence, or any of its many forms. Every expert we've spoken to has touched on this, but here is what I want to know. In today's world, does the classic old-fashioned book still have a place? Right now, I'm holding a book by Абай Құнанбайұлы. Мен бір жұмбақ адаммын, оны да ойла. And today I'm visiting a publishing house, one of the few that still continues to print books. With me is Gulnur Serikqızı, the head of one of the country's largest publishing houses. This is actually my first time in a space like this. Hello. Gulnur Serikqızı is the vice president of a major publishing house, an educator and someone who firmly believes that books are bound to make a comeback. Her goal is to make reading not just engaging but modern by blending tradition with innovation. Gulnur Serikqızı, this is my first time in a place like this, surrounded by so many books. It's been ages since I've seen anything like this aside from libraries. So you are still publishing books? Yes, we are. But these days, new technologies are popping up all the time. Back then, bright, colorful books were enough to grab people's attention. Now they're competing with e-books and digital textbooks. So even beautifully illustrated books aren't enough to keep readers interested anymore? Oh, people still read them, but we've adapted. Our books now come with QR codes. Take, for example, our Great People series. If you pick up Obray's book, The Pure Spring of the Steppe, you won't just read about the first school bells ringing in the institutions he founded. You can actually hear them by scanning a QR code. And you can even see the well where Obray once drank water. Just scan the code and you'll see it for yourself. The Umar well is still there, preserved as a historical landmark. It's the same with Abay. You can scan a QR code in the book and watch a film about his life. One of the biggest trends we really hope has already taken hold in Kazakhstani schools is shifting the focus from just absorbing knowledge to developing real skills. But modern educators say that skills matter more. That's exactly what we're here to discuss with Asel Bisimbinova, director of the NIS of Physics and Mathematics. Hello, Asel. Hello, Aygul. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Asel Bisimbinova is the director of NIS, a specialized physics and mathematics school. She is an English teacher by training, and she firmly believes today's students are ambitious and hardworking. In her view, Kazakhstan school children have a bright future ahead, as long as they get the right support from the adults around them. Does this mean that knowledge itself isn't as important in school anymore? The thing is, knowledge is everywhere now. It's in your pocket, on your phone, available 24/7. With so much information at our fingertips, the key isn't just knowing things, but knowing how to think critically, analyze information, spot fake news, and focus on what really matters. That's why our curriculum is designed to help students navigate information effectively, build arguments, and express their own viewpoints. So if we can just look something up on our phones, there is no need to memorize everything anymore. I mean, we used to have to drill historical dates into our heads. Do students not to do that now? There is really no need to memorize a ton of facts anymore. None at all? Well, you've got Google at your fingertips and ChatGPT is right there to help. What's far more important is knowing how to use that information. So what does a history lesson look like at your school? Instead of just memorizing dates and names, we give students multiple sources that describe the same historical event. They analyze different perspectives, compare information, pick out the key facts, and then use that to build their own well-reasoned arguments. Take me, for example. I'm technically studying mathematics, but over the years, I've dabbled in just about every subject and taken part in all kinds of competitions. And that's pretty much the norm at our school. Everyone here has a broad range of interests. No one sticks to just one path. Right, and your teachers don't try to box you into just one field either? Exactly. If anything, they encourage us to branch out. Even our biology and chemistry teachers, who are, of course, passionate about their subjects and want us to push us to think beyond the curriculum. They motivate us to do our own research, take part in competitions, and explore new ideas. We have tons of events and contests where we collaborate with them, whether it's academic challenges or creative projects. We work side by side. So, for example, If you're supposed to be in a biology class, your teacher wouldn't mind if you skipped it for a music lesson or another curricular? Well, of course there is a balance. When it's time to be in class and focus, that's important. But our teachers are really understanding. If I get caught up in student console work and forget to do my homework, they don't stress me out about it. They just get it.
Понимают? Кстати, в самом начале программы я сказала о том, что образование – это та сфера, где…
At the start of the program, I mentioned that education is a field where you have to constantly update your knowledge and stay 10 steps ahead of the rest of the world. But now I have a guest with me, Maksat Kurbenov. And Maksat, you lead an organization that runs educational programs, forums and seminars. And yet you say education is falling behind? That's a bit of a shock.
Да, вы меня поверили в шок.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Yes, education is falling behind. It always has.
Традиционно отстает, и так было всегда.
Maksat Kurbenov, основатель и генеральный директор Нобель-феста.
Maksat Kurbenov is the founder and CEO of Nobelfest, the largest science festival in Kazakhstan. Since 2009, he has been actively working to integrate the country into the global innovation ecosystem, bringing Nobel laureates and top experts to Kazakhstan. Under his leadership, Nobelfest is on a mission to make world-class education, science and technology accessible to all, engaging young people and creating a space for sharing groundbreaking knowledge.
Сам институт образования очень сильно зависит от экономики и технологий.
The education system is deeply connected to the economy, technology and global trends. It follows adapting to changes and passing them on to students. Right now, we are in the midst of a new technological revolution driven by business. Education is realizing that it needs to catch up to start preparing specialists for the industries emerging today. In other words, it has to align with the trends.
И то есть оно подхватывает, образование должно подхватывать тренды.
So it's a natural progression?
Да, это естественно, то есть первоначально.
Exactly, the economy is a driving force behind everything. It shapes every sector, including education, which then adjusts accordingly. That's how it has always worked, from the very first schools to the rise of universities and the boom of new professional fields. All of it is a response to economic shifts.
Благодаря изменениям в экономике.
А что касается…
When it comes to trends in education, you mentioned this new technological revolution. Would you say it's mostly digital?
Она все-таки такая цифровая, да?
Да, происходит в мире несколько больших технологических изменений. Это мы все знаем об искусственном интеллекте, мы все знаем о зеленых.
Absolutely, we are seeing huge advances in AI, green technologies, biotech. These innovations are reshaping industries, and education has to evolve with them.
Меняется сама система образования.
The key question is, who are we preparing and what skills will they need?
Специалистов в высшем образовании.
This applies not just to higher education, but to schools as well, because technology is now part of everyday life.
Интересно, происходит изменение.
What's especially fascinating is that kids themselves are driving a lot of these changes. They are the future consumers, and companies are already adapting to them. It's a two-way street. Kids are shaping the trends that will define the next wave of the economy. Can you give an example? Take computers, for example. Will we even need them in 5-10 years? Probably not. And laptops? Chances are they will be outdated too. Kids today don't even learn how to type. On one hand, that's a problem. Keyboards are becoming things of the past. But on the other hand, does it really matter? Kids are already shaping the future. They expect everything to be mobile. Laptops don't make sense to them anymore. Hardly any of them even game on a laptop. It's all about mobile gaming now, and we can see it happening. These technologies are slowly fading out, making way for the next big thing.
Тогда, в общем, скажите, пожалуйста,
What do you think are the biggest trends in education right now?
актуального образования?
В образовании, само образование.
Honestly, education itself is becoming a trend. We are realizing that we are competing with AI like ChatGPT and incredibly powerful computers. That's why expertise is more important than ever. Without deep knowledge in a specific field, it's going to be tough to succeed. Another key trend is lifelong learning. We try to instill this in kids, helping them understand that they'll need to keep learning, retraining, and evolving throughout their lives. There is also a big focus on teaching children how to use technology wisely, cybersecurity, responsible AI use, and digital literacy in general. But at the same time, we need to develop the very skills that set us apart from technology: creativity and critical thinking. And of course, STEM education remains a priority. The focus now isn't just on separate subjects like physics, chemistry, and math, but on integrating them to tackle real-world challenges. You work with a lot of innovators in education. If you could create something for them, what would it be? I'm sure our viewers would love to hear about it.
Вообще это классно, то, что есть мобильные устройства, и то, что дети, мы все видим, быстрее их понимают. Я думаю, то, что
One of the best things about today's world is that kids pick up mobile technology so quickly.
Откатим назад. Но ограничивать...
I don't think we should take their phones away. It would be a step backward. But we do need to set limits. Too much screen time can negatively affect a child's mental state. It can make them anxious and irritable. Ideally, kids should have about an hour and a half to 2 hours of screen time per day, balancing education and entertainment. But they also need time completely unplugged to learn how to keep themselves engaged without relying on a screen. The key is giving them a choice, not just banning phones outright. Either they use the phone or they do something else. But if they choose an activity today, they should understand that tomorrow they won't get screen time. What do you think the future of books will look like in 10 years?
10 лет спустя, мне кажется, еще больше будет заинтересованность в чтении книг, потому что сейчас, мне кажется, уже отходят эти гаджеты.
I actually think reading will become even more popular. We are already seeing it happen. Just like in developed countries, people are gravitating towards small portable books they can read on the go, like during a metro ride. Interest in reading is definitely growing. We see it firsthand. Kids come here even during school breaks, reading words of edification by a by. And with international education standards like PISA emphasizing reading comprehension, schools are making it a bigger priority. Recently, students came in to talk about model assignments, and they mentioned they need to read words of edification for it. Many had already borrowed copies for winter break. And right now we are in the auditorium. Yes, and to wrap up today's show, we have Arna at the piano. What are you going to play for us? I'll be playing Tikota by Paul Moriat. We'd love to hear it. Bravo. You know, this piece used to play on Soviet television as background music for the weather forecast, but that's a story for another time. Today's episode of Zaman Trend has come to an end. And what better way to finish than with this beautiful music performed by Arna, the student body president and top student? It's a reminder that education will continue to grow, thrive, and shape generations of bright, talented minds. Thank you, Arna. This was Zaman Trend on Silkway. See you next time.